Hey guys, and welcome to your daily mobility flow. We're going to start with a little upper body today, some simple stuff. If you want to stand or kneel, we're just going to pull that shoulder across. So we want the shoulder getting pulled away from the body and across as we reach. I like to turn palm up. That sets the arm into external rotation as I pull across, but it's not necessarily required. The wrist is not what we want necessarily. That what matters. We want the humerus, the upper arm, to rotate. I'm just going to pull across, and we'll do like a 3 to 5 second hold, and then we'll just get a big swing and we'll switch. So hook that arm, drag it across, swing and switch. This is one of my favorite ways to get going. Start loosening up those shoulders. You want to think about pulling the scapula around too. So like that bone that sits flat on your rib cage, pulling it away and then squeezing those shoulder blades back and together. When you go back, some squeezing together and then pulling across. Nice active. I like active upper body stuff instead of really passive upper body stuff because they make the comparison that the shoulder, or really the head of the humerus at the shoulder joint in the glenoid, is like a golf ball sitting on a tee. Like it's just a tee and a golf ball sitting there, and then it's held together with musculature. That's what your rotator cuff is for, and your labrum holds the shoulder in, but that's why it's so easy to dislocate a shoulder. We're gonna do the same thing. We're gonna go up and over, press that elbow down. We'll get like a 2 to 3 second hold, big swing and switch. So it's really muscles that do the majority of holding your shoulder into the joint or in the socket. And so if we over mobilize those with really passive stretches, the over mobilization is under stabilization. Mobility and stability are always opposites. The more mobile something is, the less stable it is. The more stable something is, the less mobile it is. It's just the way it works. That's not just with the body, it's just in life. If you get a rusted screw that won't come out, it's too stable, it's not mobile. And you put WD-40 on it, and then it starts moving. Now it's less stable and more mobile. It's just opposites. So the shoulder is already a pretty unstable joint. Let's get one more. Because there's not a lot of structure around it. It's not held into place like this. It's like this, and then there's muscles holding on. So we want to make sure those muscles stay mobile, but also stay stable. And so that's why I like more active moving stretches for the shoulders instead of a bunch of really, really passive stuff. We are going to hit the upper back a little bit. So I'm going to get out my, let's do my table. You're going to need something to hinge on, put your hands up on. You could use like a desk like this, or a chair, or a couch. It's all fine. We're going to go thumbs touching each other like so. And we're going to sit back and drop that chest through the arms and just relax. Okay? Make sure the shoulder is into extension. Push those lats away from you. When I say push the lats away, it's kind of true, kind of not. Keep stretching, and I'm just going to talk while you do, but keep going. The lats' job is to depress the shoulder and bring the elbow towards the body. So they depress and then elbow down. That's what gets the lat to fire. So if I want to stretch out the lats, I need to take my elbow away from my body and do the opposite of depression. I need my shoulder to elevate. I need my shoulder to go away. So I'm going to reach as long as you can and then sink through into that stretch. I want to stay reached in the process and not get any compression at the shoulder in the meantime. If you want to be kind of caved over like I am, that's fine. If you'd rather be more like a puppy position, this is good too. And eventually, if your shoulders get mobile enough, your lats get mobile enough, you can actually stretch the pecs in this. So I can get into the stretch far enough that I can get a pec stretch past my lats, which you don't need to be necessarily striving for, but it does happen. At this point, the pecs start resisting. You can get a pretty good pec stretch in the process. Pretty wild when you think about it. All right, we're gonna bend the elbows a little bit, so I'm gonna kind of hinge the elbows this way and sink down. And that should take it into like a different part of your lat. This probably looks ridiculously goofy on camera. But again, I'm still pushing my shoulders up towards my ears. Hope you guys can hear me. Shoulders up towards my ears, and I'm sinking my chest through like this. And I'm able to get more of that like mid belly of the lat. Good. Go ahead and rest. Take your time. Oh, my shoulders feel good. Should retest that with some overhead squats and see the difference. I always forget to do our little test retest stuff, you know, test your range of motion, then stretch it, then retest. And then my ability to move well. Let's hit our seal position, Sphinx position. We're just gonna kind of elevate the chest, work into the lower back and the obliques a little bit. We're just kind of sit back and forth. Spend a little time here. If you need to be down here, it's fine. Not a problem. It's always nice to get a little bit of, you know, we're kind of restabilizing the joints here by turning them on. You know, my lats are helping to support this hold. My triceps are helping to support this hold. My scapula, shoulder blades are helping to support. And so we mobilize, and then we kind of restabilize those joints by turning them on, getting them active, because we don't just want to be loosey-goosey. That's hypermobility is not good. You know, people who are hypermobile have double joints and things like that. It's not just mobility. What we want is adequate range of motion for the task at hand. Like, what does your body need to be able to do? And how do we get enough range of motion to be able to do that? All right, we're gonna push back into the bottom of a squat. Step forward a little bit, but you don't have to. We're gonna sit, elbows on the inside of the knees, drive those knees out. If you need to grab onto something to keep from falling backwards, that's fine. But I want you to think about pulling yourself forward to actually balance. I don't want you to be sitting so far back that your ankle is not doing anything. Eventually, you should be able to hang out here, no problem. This should be just ridiculously easy, this position. But for most people, it's not. A lot of that comes from two places. One, ankle mobility. If my ankles don't bend enough, or if I don't get enough dorsiflexion here, then I'm stuck back here, less of an angle. And you see what that does all the way to my hips? I'm not just moving my hips, I'm changing the angle of my ankle here, and that changes the angle of my hips. And this may be where you're at today. But what we want to try to do is sink down ankle mobility, which is where we work this stretch side to side. We're not doing that today, but ankle mobility, and then hips. I need my knees to go far enough apart that my butt can sit down between my feet and not behind my feet. If I, same thing, show you from the side, I'm gonna do this. Knee position, I'm gonna close in like this. So watch from the side, when I'm here and I close in, my butt raises too. I'm not, because I don't have enough space anymore to sit down in between my feet. And what makes this position so easy for me is the fact that my ankles have enough mobility, dorsiflexion, they actually close, so I can counterbalance myself, and then my hips drive wide enough, have enough space to sit down, and so I can sit essentially directly in between my feet and have a nice upright chest. And so that's where the elbows come in, driving those knees out, stretching out your groin. All of a sudden, my hip to shoulder position is pretty straight. I got a pretty vertical path, and then you get into stuff like overhead squatting, and it's not nearly as challenging because my shoulder doesn't have to do some weird hyperextension because my butt's so far back that to balance the barbell in a weird position. So ankles and hips starts there. Ankles and hips. You're probably miserable in the bottom of your squat right now. I'm sorry, but you should be able to hang out here. This is toes straight forward, toes in, toes out. You should be able to adjust. I'm not saying you should do heavy squats that way, but you should have enough play at the hip to be able to adjust. And a lot of that comes from pigeon, from leveraging out, because what we want the humerus to be able to do, the humerus is up here, the femur and the humerus, honestly, is we want them to be able to rotate. We want this leg to be able to hinge in and out, because that twisting out will let me sit down and protect the hips and mobilize the hips. So anyways, I'm gonna be done talking. I feel really good now. I feel like I should go work out. Actually, that felt a nice little warm up for a workout, but I have no idea how long that was. Maybe that was like 5 minutes, maybe it was like 15, maybe it was right in between, but sorry, I didn't mean to get too talky. Hopefully you like the somewhat of the anatomy lessons and things like that, but that's it. Thank you for being here. I appreciate you very much. If you're still here and you're hearing what I'm saying right now, I doubly appreciate you. Thanks for watching. Thanks for stretching. Keep taking care of your body. Keep working on that squat. And I promise that squat position, all of your other fitness will improve and your daily life will improve a ton too, from pain and mobility standpoint. So thanks for being here. I appreciate you. Here's to you. Later.